Now, with the Albanese government on the nose, with voters furious about the cost of living, you can bet on one thing. Labor getting so desperate this election that it will go very hard and personal against opposition leader Peter Dutton. In fact, you've probably seen already attacks on how Dutton looks, how he looks scary. One attack even on his wife. The Liberals today try to get ahead of this by releasing video designed for social media to introduce the nice Dutton, the former policeman, to soften him, but without denying he could make tough decisions for tough times.
As a minister, I learned that a strong economy and a safe community are central to everything, that you sometimes need to stand up to vested interests and always make decisions in our national interest. The right decisions aren't always popular, but I'm not interested in taking the easy path, because we live in the best country in the world, and I'm determined to get Australia back on track.
Joining me is the panel: Michael Kroger, former Victorian Liberal President, David Elliott, former New South Wales Liberal Minister. Michael, what is this ad trying to do, and will it work?
Well, it's trying to explain to people more about who Peter Dutton is. I mean, you'd be surprised to hear, but most people probably don't know he's an ex-policeman. They probably don't know he's a small business owner. So it's just trying to broaden people's knowledge of Peter Dutton. Will it work? Yes, it'll work. It certainly won't harm. But the attack by Albanese on Dutton personally it's a different era from 22 when that worked brilliantly against Scott Morrison. We're now in a different era where people can't afford to buy food. So they're not the slightest bit interested in attacks on Peter Dutton or his wife. If they're attacking Dutton's policies, fine. But personal attacks on Peter Dutton and his family are going to backfire badly on Labor. And if they think that's the way to win government again, they've got another thing coming, Andrew.
Well, David Elliott, I mean, a couple of years ago, Labor was openly saying Peter Dutton was unelectable. Did they misjudge, or has he changed, or have the times changed to suit him?
Well, I remember when they said John Howard was Mr 17%, so and we laughed at the thought of Bob Carr being elected Premier. So, yes, times do change. But Peter Dutton, I mean, Australians at the moment are looking for a strong leader. They're seeing national security and domestic security, whether it be attacks on the Jewish community or the situation in the Ukraine. They're looking for strong leaders at the moment, and Dutton's got that. I don't think that there is a person in any parliament in Australia or the Commonwealth where he's not seen as the lead candidate when it comes to national security and the strength of our intelligence agencies. So this is all about making sure that we know, yeah, even cops have got mums. This is about making sure that the community knows even police officers have got kids, and that Peter, you know, I'll give you a tip. He has been a marginal seat holder. And nothing gives you community empathy more than knowing that every vote that you talk to, every issue that's raised, every person that has a concern or a problem could be the one that determines the outcome of the next election. So I think you're going to find that Peter Perfect's going to come up trumps when it comes to making sure that people know that he's actually a dad and a husband.
Michael, David mentioned there the Jew hatred, which it's just... I think Anthony Albanese actually knows is in real trouble for letting this issue blow up without any effective action for so long. Today he promised to spend more than $4 million to build a Holocaust Centre in Canberra to fight it. Here he is.
And it's important that anti-Semitism be opposed in all of its forms, and it's important here in Australia.
Now, Michael, I actually think this is just tokenism. This is my own opinion. I mean, every state capital already has a Holocaust museum or a Holocaust Centre. Hobart's still building its own, I've got to say. And one more in Canberra, I think, changes nothing when we've got, you know, lots of immigration from the Middle East and a government pandering to it by repeatedly attacking Israel. But what do you make of this call?
Well, I welcome his announcement, and I think the fact that so many young people these days aren't aware of what happened during the Holocaust is shocking. So I welcome the fact that he's going to fund a centre in Canberra to add to the other centres. I think more education about what happened during the Holocaust is only welcome. But at the same time, he sends Penny Wong to Auschwitz. I mean, this guy just doesn't get it. For every one thing he does, Andrew, where he tries to have empathy, he does 10 things in the other direction. He doesn't get it, he doesn't understand it, and it's going to work very badly for him at the election.
Well, I think talking about Auschwitz is not going to help the stem the Jew hatred as much as stopping the anti-Israel talk right now. The present rather than the history, the past is what we need to address. David, Peter Dutton last weekend announced the reshuffle of his front bench. Now, for me, the most important move ahead of this election is promoting the coalition's most popular politician, Senator Jacinta Nampijin-Price. I read a couple of articles demanding that she be promoted to an additional frontline job, which is targeting government waste. Now, David, I think this is good, but I've got to say, this is going to be a huge challenge for her because it means she's got to talk about the waste in portfolios of other shadow ministers, all of whom are more senior to her, some of whom are jealous of her. How do you think she's going to go?
I think she'll be great because she has been empowered, Jacinta. She has been empowered by the electorate. She feels that level of confidence that only comes when you've won a referendum campaign, which she did hands down. I mean, she's had a fair bit of political experience before she came into the Senate representing the Northern Territory. So I think that she'll draw on a little bit of that local government experience that she had before she was elected. But she's also got that most important of asset when it comes to being a shadow minister, and that's the blessing of the leader. And I think anybody that wants to play up and set aside any of the economic rationalism that Jacinta is no doubt going to be bringing down will just have to look over their shoulder, because I suspect there'll be a bloke named Dutton looking over it.